And that is so interesting. Good evening, Miss Connie.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks. And how are you?
Good, thank you.
I'm well, thank you. That is a great video, especially for a young person like me. That is so
Yeah.
interesting fashion.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Thank you very much.
And I'm going to be the moderator for this session. I'm a young female leader at the Amazon Leadership Initiative.
Okay. Thank you.
So Miss Connie is a fashion stylist, image consultant, corporate trainer, entrepreneur, and as well as a fashion lecturer and influencer with experience both in Kenya and internationally. She holds a diploma in fashion design, garment making from the Evelyn College of Design in Nairobi, and a Bachelor's of Fine Arts degree from the Institute of Technology in New York. She has worked with the Big Four Global Fashion Week in New York, Milan, and as well as in London. Great to have you, Ms. Connie. So I have a few questions for you this evening.
Yes.
So
Go ahead.
please insight into your childhood and your career experiences and influences and moments that have been significant milestones into your leadership journey.
I think from my childhood, a lot of it stems from growing up. So my late grandma on my dad's side, she's called Mama Tabitha Aluoch. She was very good in homemaking and home science and sewing. So I don't remember her much because I was very young when she died. But my mom tells me a lot of stories that she really was very good in, sewing and home skills. And I think that has influenced me a lot. And then going into my immediate family, my parents also like to dress up. Literally, my family, my dad, my mom, everyone has a sense of style, and my sisters. So, since my mom worked for the government a lot and had to go for a lot of government national holiday celebrations with my dad, I used to watch her dressing up, and she loved the late. Lady Diana, that was her icon. So she had so many hats, that emulated what Lady Diana, the late, Diana had. So I think a lot of my influence is from my family and my background growing up around my sisters, because everyone has their own sense of style.
That is so interesting. I think we all get our sense of fashion and inspiration from our mothers, and we all draw inspiration from them most of the time. So, could you
True.
please elaborate challenges that you actually encountered in your path of leadership, and how has these challenges contributed to you as a leader, and different things that you have employed to adapt to the change and the challenges?
So, in the space that I am, I'm also an employer. So, I employ a team of fashion assistants who help me with the different work that I do. I have people on, in my social media who help me manage my social media. I have strategists, lawyers. I mean, it's a whole team that make the Connie Aluoch brand. And a lot of the times, let me take you back. I was in a forum for entrepreneurs, and I asked them one day, how do you manage to get your payments on time? Because as an entrepreneur, it's always a challenge trying to get your payment after you've done a project. So there's a friend of mine, he's a DJ, and he told me, Connie, you must always learn to ask for 70% upfront. And I'm like, do you get that? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, you mean you can ask and you can be given? He's like, if you state your terms and conditions, people will respect you. And going forward, that is how I've been running my business for the last, over 5-6 years. I state my terms, and I'm like, if you want me to do a project for you, you got to pay me this, and you have to pay it 70% before I do anything. So as a leader, I am very cognizant of the value that I have and what I'm giving to you as a service. And if you can't give me that deposit, then I'm not doing the work. So I think going back again to my leadership skills, I've learned to value myself as a person, and respect that work that I'm putting out. So I think it's very important for anyone in any field, whether employed or self-employed, to value and respect who they are as a person and as a leader, and that should translate into the work that they do. And it's okay to say no to jobs. I've also learned that, because sometimes when you're talking to a client, a prospective, and just a vibe, I'm always like, you know what, let me refer you to someone else, because your instinct is always right.
That is so interesting. So basically, just know your value.
Yeah, exactly.
So now we get to move to your mentorship experiences. So were there any specific role models that you had in your journey, or other mentors that you had that have actually inspired you in during your formative years? And how did you approach mentorship, and how did you get to use the values in mentorship and lessons to be an aspiring female leader that you are today?
Along my journey from childhood to where I am now, I've always had mentors. Actually, I even have a life coach now and a mentor. And I was actually having a session with her just now before I got onto this call. Um, mentorship can be in many different forms. You can, and there's, maybe in my 30s, I learned something about reverse mentorship where even younger people can mentor me. So even my team, like, my assistants, they're like, 24, 25, they're really young. And sometimes when I don't know how to do stuff, especially on social media, I'm like, okay, you guys, how do you figure this out? Sometimes on my iPhone, I'm trying to figure out something. I just give it to them. I'm like, okay, you guys sort it out. So for me, mentorship is extremely important. And every stage of my life, I've been grateful to have mentors. I begin with my family first, my mom and my sisters, they're my rock. And just going into anything from college. I went to fashion school in New York, the Fashion Institute of Technology, and sewing for me was a nightmare. It just wasn't happening. And I remember half the time I was always crying, because you have projects and you have to submit and deadlines. Fashion is a very high intense career. But I remember in the sewing labs at FIT, I met a gentleman called Everett. He used to see me crying and all is like, okay, he's like, okay, hon, you need to stop this crying. We need to figure out how we're going to help you. And we became friends. Then I had another lady called Karen who used to help me. I mean, it's amazing how God puts people into your life, because some of the subjects that I had also, when you're in college in America, you have, your fashion courses and you have other courses, electives. And some of them I was really struggling with. So she used to see me, always in the library. Then she's like, you look like you need help. So I think it's to be open to mentorship and also to learn to also give back. Because now I'm very keen on mentorship. I'm actually going to be doing, I think, a 4-month program here in Kenya for underprivileged, young creatives who want to get into the fashion industry, and don't have all the capacity and resources. So we're going to be doing, it's a 4-month training in different modules. I'll be doing that. I'm also a mentor at my high school, the Kenya High School. That's the best school in Kenya, just FYI, so you know. So I'm very big on mentorship there. I'm called back to mentor the creative students. And then I'm also a mentor at a school called the Pesta Foundation Academy. So I am mentored and I mentor. It has to work both ways, because you also have to learn to give back, because people have also supported and given me their time and knowledge and support.
I think what I'm taking from this is that we always need to lift, we always need to lift as we rise. So
Exactly.
take in other and get to grow with them, because you are not growing if other people are not growing with you.
Exactly.
On your encounters and your experiences, what is the blueprint of leadership, and particularly by women?
So my blueprint, number one is it's my faith. So I'm a Christian, so my faith keeps me grounded. And together in my faith, it's my values. Because I know I am a brand. And when you're a brand, you have to be very intentional about the things that you do, because I also train on image and personal branding. And one thing I train people on is that your brand is on show 24 hours. It doesn't switch off at midnight and then switch on again at 6 a.m. You're on show all the time. So you have to give the best version of yourself, and you have to be very intentional and authentic. So those are some of the blueprints that I follow, and I encourage other people, whether male or female, to also follow. So those are my blueprints. It's my faith, authenticity, and just being conscious about my brand, because it takes years to build a brand and and your reputation, and then just one small thing, and then your credibility just goes out.
That is so interesting. I think it's very important to be conscious of your brand and take value of your brand at all times. So
Yeah.
moving on to the impact and legacy that you would like to leave, I'd like you to actually envision the impact of your leadership and mentorship on future generations of women. And I'd like to know, what kind of legacy would you like to leave behind as a female leader and as a mentor?
So one of the, I have a vision board, that I, every year that I work on. And, part of it is I'd like to have a, Connie Aluoch Foundation, where this is a foundation where it's literally just mentorship and giving support, and helping, young creatives network, because, over the years I've been able to build networks both locally and internationally. So where we can help young creatives connect with other creatives, whether in Kenya, in Africa, or in America or wherever, and just help them grow and exchange ideas with other creatives and even go there and do work. So for me, it's just to build the Connie Aluoch Foundation that supports the creative industry. And it's not only for women, also for men, because there are also a lot of men, male creatives that are coming up. Like, for example, in my team, I have young stylists. I have a male assistant and a female. And, they also, too, there's not a lot of male stylists. There's a lot of female stylists in Kenya, but not a lot of males. So I am very keen on also mentoring and supporting the boy child.
That is so interesting. And I think I'm resonating a lot with a lot of things that you're saying, because I'm always the friend in my friend group that actually styles people. And I think the styling part, that's actually where I would come in. And I'm actually actually enjoying this. And I wish this interview was not coming to an end. And so the last question that I have is, so
Yeah.
intergenerational core leadership refers to leadership approach that involves individuals from different generations, different ages, working together in different leadership roles. So how do you incorporate intergenerational core leadership to foster collaboration and continuity across different age groups?
So again, I'll give an example of my team. So, we normally have meetings every morning, and, we discuss and bounce off projects from clients and all. So I'm always keen to get the opinions, of my team, my assistants. Again, I told you they're, really young. One is 25 and one I think is 22. So I'm always keen to get their opinions. What do they think? Especially when we're doing pitches, I'm like, okay, what do you guys think? Would you relate to this if there's something? So I think it's also accepting and understanding that they too have an opinion that counts. And that is how you foster, the leadership and working together, so across generations.
That is so interesting. Thank you so much for this interview. I really learned a lot, and not only from you as an individual, but your work as well.
Thank you.